How's it going, everybody? Steve from Perfect Reload here, and doing something a little bit different. AEW Fight Forever came out today. If you pre-ordered, or you actually didn't have to pre-order, but if you either pre-ordered or purchased their Elite Edition of the game, which is $80, you got to play the game today. Now, $80 is a little bit of a misnomer because both PlayStation Network and the Xbox Store had it for 70, or not 70% off, 10% off. So I believe it brought the price down to about $71. And I want to start this video off by saying, number one, that this is not a review by any stretch of the imagination. This is just, my first impressions of the game after having played it for a couple hours now. I want to kind of get these thoughts out of my head because it's a very interesting. This game is interesting in many ways. So yeah, not a review. We're only gonna be focusing on like the actual gameplay, like the mechanics of playing the game in an actual match, and then some presentation stuff. I have not touched the Road to Elite mode, which is the story mode. I have not touched the created wrestler, create a team or create arena mode. I'm gonna be streaming this game where I'm gonna dive into that stuff. So yeah, this is just kind of focusing on my initial thoughts and impressions on the game, because I have many. To give a little bit of a backstory about why like this game is very important to me is I've been a wrestling fan pretty much my entire life, judging from what my parents have told me, because, you can only remember so much in your life. You don't have very many memories when you were 2 or 3 years old. At least I don't. From what my parents have been able to piece together and told me over the years, I probably started watching wrestling around the time I was 3 years old. So at this point, that means I've been watching wrestling for over 30 years. And pretty consistently through that. Took a little bit of a break from following it religiously when I was in high school. Just had a lot of other stuff going on. But definitely been a big fan my entire life. And I'm a huge AEW fan. Don't think I've ever missed a Dynamite. I've been to 2 Dynamites. Actually last year, my buddies and I splurged. We got like pretty close to ringside seats, for Dynamite last summer. And it was an amazing experience. It's super, super cool. To go to like an actual TV taping. I had been to a WWE SmackDown before, but it definitely going to SmackDown was like a lot more subdued than going to a Dynamite. There just was a lot more going on at AEW. When you go see WWE TV, at least when I saw it, which at this point was several years ago, I think I went in 2018, 2017, something like that. They took a lot of breaks during that show. If they were on commercial break, they didn't really do anything. They kind of turned the lights off. People were just kind of standing around at the AEW show. They kept wrestling, or if it wasn't a match, they were running various things, hyping the crowd up. Actually, that night we were recording crowd chants for this game. They had us record. We actually had to chant Fight Forever. We chanted for FTR, Sammy Guevara, actually, who's on the screen right now, and a few other wrestlers. I have no idea if any of those are the chants in this game. There's a possibility my voice is in this game in some weird way. But, somebody used to say I'm a pretty big AEW fan. And so, at some point AEW was going to have a video game. They had announced like a mobile game. That was just a reskin of existing casino slot kind of game. They did their GM mobile game, which wasn't super well received. And then obviously the long awaited console game, which is now out, which is AEW Fight Forever. They promoted this game in a very odd and bizarre way. They kind of announced it way too early, I think. They announced it a couple years ago at this point, at least. And I think along the way, the game probably got an unannounced delay, and that's why it took a little long. And that's why there's some really interesting and weird choices in this game that we're going to get into. And initially, I was going to pre-record some gameplay and then just talk over it, but I thought it might be a little bit more effective for me to actually play the game while we're having this discussion, so I can kind of show you some of the things that I'm talking about. Because there are a lot of very weird things in this game from a decision-making standpoint, and I have taken copious amounts of notes. So apologize if I'm literally going to read some of these notes off a list because I don't want to forget some of these things. And I'm going to give you the kind of too long didn't read right up front. I don't think this game is very good. That's just my initial thought after a couple hours of play. Will my opinion change? 100% my opinion is going to change as I continue to play this game. It could go worse. It could go way better. I could eventually get into a rhythm with the gameplay, and some of the problems I have right now could eventually fade away. But as it stands right now, I don't think this game is very good. I think it was very rushed. I have the audio for the game muted simply because there's a lot of copyrighted music in this game. And when we stream the game, I won't mute it, obviously. But for the purposes of this video, I don't want to have to edit out a talking point. I don't want to have to mute myself. Perhaps I'm trying to make an important point because there's copyrighted music underneath it. So I apologize that there's no audio. You're not missing much. There's some audio in the menus here. There's no commentary during the matches. It's just hearing the grunts of wrestlers, chants of the crowd, that kind of thing, count of the referee. The entrances are truncated entrances. They're only about 7 seconds long, I think somebody said. And so you just hear 7 seconds of music, but 7 seconds of music is enough to get, me forced to have to mute part of this video, which I don't want to have to do. So the things I'm going to get out of the way real quick are the things that I can't show you, which are some of the audio clips. So when you go into, let me do it here. So if you go into this tutorial archive, and this brings up Justin Roberts, you can see in the corner of the screen right there, he'll be talking. If I go to this, he'll be talking there. If I go to gameplay, William Regal, you'll hear a voiceover there. The audio consistency of this stuff is wild. So Justin Roberts sounds pretty good. It sounds like they got him into like an actual legit booth to record his stuff. And Justin Roberts is like a super professional. Like he knows what he needs to do to get the job done in a thing like this. Whereas Regal here, and let me see if I can find, there's one. JR sounds like he may have been in a booth. Excalibur, definitely not. And there's one other guy that comes up. Maybe he is. Where is he? There he is, Taz. Taz sounds like he recorded it in his car. Like seriously, it's like super echoey. It sounds like it was recorded with a very poor quality microphone. I don't think it was recorded on his phone. I think it was recorded with an actual microphone, but it is not good quality at all. So there's just like wild consistency stuff throughout all of this, which is odd because it's not like they had to like wear these guys out doing the commentary, like by bringing them into like an actual like voiceover session. But I mean, you could set up a mobile audio recording kind of booth. They sell like mini booths that kind of wrap around your microphone. And you can get a decent sound out of doing that. They could have just found an empty room in an arena while they were doing it. There are wrestlers on their roster that have recorded episodes of their podcasts at arenas. And sometimes you can't tell the difference because they have a decent quality microphone. They kind of know what they're doing. They're away from all the noise. They're not in a super big, echoey, booming room, that kind of thing. So there's some really weird stuff there. The next thing on my list is there's no tutorial in this game. And the reason why that's important is because this game, unlike the WWE games, which we are most used to as wrestling game fans, this is the first one, right? So we don't really know what they're doing control wise. So you have this here, customized controls, and you can see the icons on there. It's gonna be a little bit small, but left trigger run, right trigger Irish whip. I have changed some of the controls. Initially it's B is run, left trigger is the action button, which action button, that is super vague. What does that actually mean? You kind of just have to experiment and find out for yourself. But I'm so used to playing the WWE games and their run buttons on the left trigger. I was like, I'll just swap it, make it a little bit easier for myself. Now, if you note here, this is it. There are a lot of controls missing from this page, like how to do springboard moves. It actually doesn't say on here how to get up onto the turnbuckle. There are a lot of things missing from these controls, and that's it. None of these tutorials here, if we go back over to the tutorials, none of these tell you how to do this. So you'll have like moving to ringside. It's like, okay, the action button does that. That's a nice thing. There is no thing in here whatsoever about how to do a springboard move. Nothing. I went through every single one of these this afternoon. None of these say how to do it. By the way, it is pressing X and A together against the ropes. I figured it out finally. And there is a frequent move that you will see in the game where a wrestler ducks underneath another wrestler and grapples them around the waist from behind. They do not tell you how to do that. They also don't tell you how to grapple from behind unless you, except for physically walking around the character and grappling them from behind. By the way, it's left bumper. I had to go on Reddit and go to the game subreddit to find that out because this game does not have it in its controls. There's no manual, and these tutorials don't make any sense whatsoever for the most part. By the way, this here, where was it? We were just there. Which one was it? Ooh, to ringside. Okay. So to walk out of the ring, climb a corner post, press B. Okay. You can just use the run button to get up there as well. It doesn't tell you that either because that would make more sense. You would run towards it and jump up. Just they didn't feel it was important to tell you that at all. So you can kind of see where I'm going here. There's a lot of missing information in this game. There are a lot of posts I have seen online for people saying, how do I do this? How do I reverse? The reversal thing is, oh boy. Let me find my notes. Let me start deleting things that I've already talked about so I don't start repeating myself. Okay, here's the reversals thing. Okay, so in WWE games, and this is really nice, there is just an icon that goes above your head that says, hey, you can reverse. By the way, this training thing, in case you were wondering, this is not a tutorial. This is literally just a dummy match. We'll go into it real quick. You are just up against an opponent that's just standing still. You can change it to make them do other stuff, but at that point, why wouldn't you just play a regular match? But there's nothing that says like, hey, press the button now to reverse, or like in Fire Pro, you time the animation because the animation is always the same. And that's how you reverse. So it's very, very bizarre. There's no, so like it would be nice right here because Kenny Omega can do a springboard move. Like in the WWE game, if I got close to this, it would show like the buttons like, hey, do a springboard. You just have to know that he can do it. There's nothing that indicates that he is able to do that. We're going to change his behavior to normal. So there's nothing saying that I can, see, it says miss counter, press RB just before an attack to counter. That's great. But you need a visual indicator of that. It would just be so helpful. And then the other thing is, there are two different block, which means there are two different counter buttons, one for grapples, one for like attacks, like punches and things like that. So right there, that grapple counter that I just did, I did not have my hand pressing a button on the controller. That just happened. I don't know how it happened. The button to do that is left bumper right here. I had my hand on the triggers, or my fingers were on the triggers. No idea how I did that. Was not even paying attention. So it really does kind of feel random. The fact that there are two block buttons and two counter buttons is such a bizarre decision. Like just have one counter button. It doesn't really, there's no benefit to it. It really doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, right there, because you have the, he's grappling from behind. He did that drop kick. That doesn't count as like a grapple counter, even though he had you in the grapple position. You actually have to press the strike counter button. How would you know? You're just playing a guessing game at that point. And it's like, that's not like some like, oh, here's some like strategy to the game. That's just lazy game design at that point. Because there's no button saying that like, oh, here's an opportunity to reverse. I have no idea what I can actually reverse out of. Can I reverse being stomped on the ground? Can I reverse a ground grapple? I don't know. I have not been able to pull it off. I've watched gameplay and I haven't seen anybody be able to pull off. Can you just not reverse out of that thing? Or is the window so tight that nobody is really getting it except for chance and then it feels random? So it's just very, very bizarre. So let me delete some more of this list. Like I said, I want to limit myself, repeating myself. All right. Let's get into some of the roster and stuff, and then we'll get into some more control stuff. So the roster is super out of date for more than one reason. So there are some people that have been with AEW since the beginning that are not in this game. And there are some people that are a little bit more recent that are. There's nobody like super brand new, like nobody that's like debuted this year I would say probably nobody that's even debuted in like the last year is in this game. And some of the gimmicks are super out of date. So John Silver, who's a member of the Dark Order, right? He comes out with like the minions that do the claw thing. We'll start we'll just do a match real quick so you can, actually Jeff Hardy's probably the newest person, in the game. So we'll go into an entrance here. I want to show you how out of date this is. I did a little bit of research online. I couldn't get a specific date, but I got a time frame. These people right here in the back with the mask, they have not done that in almost 3 years. Almost 3 years, and it's still in the game. Like, really? Like, seriously? So we'll quit back out and go to the roster. Because there's a couple other ones. There's some oddball choices. Now you're not seeing the whole roster. Some of the characters you have to unlock by playing the story mode. So I don't have everybody unlocked. Like Cody Rhodes is in there. I know a lot of people are like, why is Cody Rhodes in the game? He's been in WWE for over a year. Well, to be honest, part of his contract was that he was in the game. So he was going to be in the game. There was the rumor, the possibility that due to like the legal issues with the brawl out thing with CM Punk, that CM Punk could be let go from his contract. He would have still been in the game, as I believe in his contract it said he was going to appear in the game. So there are some people in the game that are just in the game because, hey, that's the way their deal was lined up. So let's switch over to the women's roster. So Anna Jay here is still in her Dark Order gear. And I wanted to look up to see how long has it been since she left Dark Order. So I'm filming this video on June 28th. She left Dark Order July 30th of last year. Almost 11 months to the day. And she's still outdated in her gimmick. Like, come on. Like, some of this stuff is just like baffling. Abaddon's fantastic. She has grown a lot as a wrestler. I don't think she's been on Dynamite in 2 years. It's very, very bizarre. Chris Statlander, obviously she just came back from injury, but she still has her alien gimmick. When she got injured the first time, like last year when she came back, she was already past having that alien gimmick. She had definitely toned down like the face paint and like the whole Andromeda Galaxy thing. She had already changed the name of her finishing move away from like an outer space theme. So this is like woefully outdated. Some of the stuff you would understand, like Ruby Soho does not have her Outcasts gear. That's a little bit too recent. So that makes sense that she's outdated in that way. Like that one actually does make sense, but some of these just really, really don't. On the men's side of things, let's see if we can find any. Let's see here. Kenny Omega is referred to in this game as the Cleaner. He is very much like a New Japan Pro Wrestling Kenny Omega, which is woefully outdated. And that's very weird because he's like the marquee wrestler in this game, essentially. There's no like House of Black, so it's just Malachi Black by himself. I actually have not seen him wear that bandana on his face in quite some time, so that's a little bit out of date as well. Miro's face looks terrible. That does not even look anywhere remotely like him. Nick Jackson looks like he was in an accident of some sort. I'm not sure what's going on with his face. So there's just some like really weird, bizarre choices. Ricky Starks has not been FTW champion in a long, long time. I want to look that up real quick. When did Ricky Starks lose the FTW championship? Because I feel like it was a while ago. He lost the FTW championship July of last year. It's been 11 months and he's still in this game as the FTW champion because the current FTW champion Hook, not in the game. Like people that are like featured prominently on television, just like straight up not in the game. Trent Beretta doesn't have his head shaved. He's had his head shaved for like a year now. Like some of this stuff is just like super baffling. So let me cross off some more things. One more thing about the characters, which we can't play because, like I said, I didn't want this thing to get copyright stricken and I have to edit out parts of it. So like Chris Jericho has Judas, CM Punk has Cult of Personality, Ruby Soho does not have Ruby Soho, Bryan Danielson does not have his song. So there are some wrestlers that just straight up do not have the correct music. Orange Cassidy does not have Jane, so incorrect music there. Jungle Boy does have the Baltimore song, which I believe is because I want to say Tony Khan, the owner of AEW, just straight up bought the rights to that song. So I think he can do whatever he wants with it at this point. Whereas I think the stuff like Cult of Personality and all that, those are licensing deals. And it's probably more expensive to get your music into a video game. So it's just, they don't put it in. All right, let's get this stuff out of the way. All right, we're done with our roster stuff. I apologize for the weird format of this video. I just wanted to get everything out of my head. Okay, so let's talk about controls and actual gameplay. So let's just grab a wrestler, and I'm going to use Powerhouse Hobbs as my example here for my opponent, because I want to show off something that I think is a really weird choice with this game. You can change arenas. Unfortunately, due to AEW's arenas looking very samey, Rampage and Dynamite are the same thing, with just different lighting and logos. All Out, same thing, just different lighting and logos. Full Gear is a little bit different. Double or Nothing has a poker chip up there. Revolution has their like weird like cell phone vertical screen. Dark has its it doesn't have I guess Dark is they changed this a while ago. But that is a look that Dark had at one point. Dark no longer exists, but that is a look that Dark had for a while. Just Dynamite, it's fine. The arena doesn't matter. It's all window dressing. So there's options for the match. You set up your match type ahead of time, so it's nothing like that. You can't change your referee. You have Rick Knox and Aubrey Edwards. Turn blood on, difficulty, entrance guide. So the entrance guide is you can press buttons during your entrance and it'll make things happen. That just turns it on so you can see what those buttons do. And same controls and all that stuff. All right, so we'll start this up. Because there's an interesting thing with Powerhouse Hobbs, and I believe Wardlow has it as well. There might be some other characters that do. There are some characters that have special abilities. Now, the special abilities are not outlined anywhere. They're not highlighted anywhere. So I'm pressing these buttons now, and it's changing the pyro. So I can just shoot off a million fireworks, et cetera, like all that stuff. So Powerhouse Hobbs has an ability that essentially auto blocks for him. So let's show you this. So he also, because he is a heel, a bad guy in wrestling jargon, he can attack me before the match starts. He has it. MJF has it. There's some other characters that have it. You can't turn it off. You can't block it. There's nothing you can do about it. Every single one of these matches starts exactly the same way. There's nothing you can do. It's not highlighted anywhere in the character select screen that this is something that he can do. There's nothing showing you that. I'm holding down block. Finally, it's blocking. All right, so let's try and attack him, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to attack him. He is auto blocking. See how it says like unyielding pose down at the bottom? So that's like an ability that he has. Like I said, like Wardlow has it. I think some other wrestlers have it as well. You have to wear him down, and eventually you can break through his guard. Now, this would make a lot of sense if this game had character classes. Like, here's, lack of a better term, not a pun on his name, but here's a powerhouse character that can do this kind of thing. Here's a high flyer. They can get on the ropes faster, whatever, whatever it is. But they don't do that. So it's like they had the idea for like special character abilities or character classes, but didn't actually do anything with them. And that's my biggest takeaway from this game, is that this game feels like a series of half thought out ideas. So it seems to me that Ukes had a list of things that they wanted to do in this game, but ran out of time to do them all. And what ended up happening was, instead of following any of those ideas through to completion, they just have a whole bunch of half thought out ideas that have no rhyme or reason. They don't connect in any way. And it leaves your game feeling super unfinished and unpolished, because that's what this game feels like. This game feels unfinished in a big, big way. This game feels like a $30 or $40 game. Not a $60, or in the case of this edition of the game, an $80 game. That's the first time I've ever been able to do that slide behind to get to the back grapple. So that's cool. At least I know it's possible. This game, like I said, $60 to $80, depending on which version you have. It also has more day one DLC than the WWE 2K23 game did this year. So really think about that. They are pitching this to you as a premium video game product, but it is missing a lot of common sense features. It has poorly thought out and realized gameplay. From what I've been able to see, like I said, I haven't touched the creative character stuff, but from what I've seen on Twitter, because I follow a lot of WWE video game creator wrestler creators, it's super limited. You cannot share your created characters with other players. Lots of moves. From what I hear, lots of moves. You're set on moves, tons and tons of moves. Also, that's inexplicable. Why did I right there go through the ropes? Also, yes. So when you're escaping submissions or pins, you just mash. There's no meter to show you how close you are to getting out of the submission. There's no meter showing you how close you are to getting out of the pin. Nothing. You just have to pray that you are doing a good job. So when I run, why am I doing that? Why am I not bouncing off the ropes? And then to get back in the ring is a different button. So I don't understand it. The run button gets me out of the ring, but I have to press the action button to get back in the ring. Why am I not allowed to just bounce off the ropes? Oh, that's why. I can't hold the button down. I have to just press the button. It's just these weird choices that, yes, in a vacuum, you may say, like, that's not that big of a deal, Steve. You just press the button instead of running it or holding it. Holding it is just a thing that you had to do in the WWE games. You got to change your way of thinking. However, a lot of the people that buy this game are people that bought the WWE games. They're looking for an alternative. Now, what they're looking for, though, is something just a little bit different, but with controls that make sense, that may be relevant to the game that they've been used to playing. You know, it's just, I don't know. It's just bizarre. You know, it's just bizarre. All right, let's drop him. See if we get the win there. There are, positives to this game, which let's see if we can do it in case we win that match. Finishers, you got up to 5 finishers. You got up to 5 signatures. You have multiple grapple moves, all that kind of stuff. Moves on the ground, high flying moves. The people that can springboard have multiple springboard moves. There's a lot of moves. Like I said, you are set for moves. Nothing wrong with the moves here. Plenty of moves. You're good to go on that. I no longer necessarily feel like I am fighting with the controls, but I will say that there are aspects of the controls that feel delayed. Like I have to press the input a little bit more than once. When you finish a match, you kind of get this rating scale there, and you get some rewards like cash and stuff. So what you can do with the cash, I'll show you real quick before I forget my thought here. I also think it's really weird that they show you an image of the person that lost the match and not the person that won the match. I think that's a little strange. That's happened every time. I don't think it's a coincidence. It's happened literally every time I finished a match. It showed me an image for the person that lost the match. So here's your shop. So you can buy stuff in here. You can buy moves. The moves are not really labeled very well. What the fuck does Photo Op 15 mean? I don't know what that means. Entrances, General 63. Yep. Okay, cool. Here's like Cody Rhodes, Aubrey Edwards, your different attires for wrestlers and whatnot. So you can unlock that stuff. I guess we can unlock Cody Rhodes. Actually, I think we can just unlock all of these people. I guess we're getting achievements. Okay. So we unlocked everything for that. That's it. Only one wrestler there to unlock. There are other wrestlers to unlock through the story mode, like Brody Lee, Owen Hart, stuff like that. All right, so let me see here. I think the lack of commentary is super outdated. I think in 2023, you got to have commentary in a sports or sports-like game. Wrestling has a sports-like presentation. It should have commentary. For the AI, I don't know if I'm trying to talk, so I wasn't super paying attention to the match we just had. But I've noticed that the AI is very fond of doing an attack, grapple pattern. So it becomes very predictable. That happened in multiple matches in a row. So I don't know if that's like necessarily tied to the difficulty I'm playing on. I'm just playing on the normal difficulty. I don't know if it was just like a string of bad luck. I don't know, but I noticed that quite a bit. Let me get into the training to talk about the kind of delayed input thing real quick. We'll just once again go Kenny Omega. For sake of variety, we'll go Hikaru Shida. Okay. Go in. Okay. So I press the button. I don't know if you can hear the click of my controller, but I press the button and there's just the slightest delay between running. Especially if you hold it down. If you hold it down, there's like a half-second delay. It's a little strange. So like, let me see if I can do it. Down, then he runs. Down, then he, like there's enough of a delay that I think you would have to have your hand on the controller to understand it. But there is just this weird delay with things, which I think is just kind of bizarre. You have a strong grapple, which is what I just did. You have a weak grapple. You can get up on the top rope. You can dive off. You get an elbow drop there, all this stuff. There's a grapple move on the ground. Attack on the ground, all that stuff. You can pick them up, blah, 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 blah. You press the left bumper. I had to press the left bumper, by the way, there twice to get the rear grapple. So that was a little bit unresponsive. So there's just some kind of weird things in the game like that. I think that this game was trying very hard to be No Mercy. Oh, there we go. Okay. Well, technically she didn't lose. We were just doing training, but we got the Kenny Omega graphic. So I guess it's possible. Maybe I just hit a string of coincidences. I think this game is trying very hard to be No Mercy, but No Mercy is outdated. Like, yes, it's fun to go and play for a little bit, but that's not a game you're going to sit down and play for hours upon hours upon hours. Unless it's like your all-time favorite game, you're super dedicated to it in some way. From what I have seen today, because I was watching a lot of stuff today about people talking about this game, as the review embargo lifted today, a lot of people saying like, I don't think I'm going to be playing this game after 2 weeks. And that's sad. A wrestling game should be evergreen content. Any sports game should be evergreen content. You can go back to that sports game over and over and over again. I've got over 150 hours in the show baseball game this year, because that's the game that I put on when I'm listening to podcasts or catching up on YouTube. It's evergreen content. It's same for wrestling games, man. That's why I always put like 100 hours into the WWE games, because I can put it on mute. I can chill out, enjoy it, and play it. But those games have so much more to them. And this game just as of right now, from what I have seen, it just doesn't. And it's really sad and it's really disappointing. And everything that I have said so far, aside from like actual gameplay gripes that I think should be fixed, like lack of content, lack of diversity in create a wrestler mode, like all that stuff, I would remove all of those gripes if this was not a $60 or $80 game with paid DLC on day one. They would all go away, because at that point, what do you expect for a budget game? You expect a budget experience, and that's what you're getting. You do not expect a budget, bare bones, cut down experience when you pay full price for a video game. Obviously, it happens. There are plenty of games out there that are lacking in content that are full price that you feel kind of gross after you bought it, like you made a bad decision. I don't feel like that right now, because there's still so much in this game I have not interacted with. Like I said, these are first impressions based on gameplay in my first few hours of the game. This is not a review by any stretch of the imagination. That's why I wanted to make that clear up front. I have not touched the Road to Elite mode. I might really enjoy it. I've heard there's some like truly goofy, weird stuff in it. I haven't touched any mini game stuff yet because I haven't unlocked it. When we stream this game this week, obviously if you're watching this video like way later, I'm streaming the game on June 30th. So you can always go back in the archives if you want to check out that stream. I might have way more fun with that game. And on next week's episode of Perfect Reload Weekly, I could be singing its praises. It could click with me in the 5-hour mark, the 6-hour mark, as we continue on with this game. We've been playing this game all weekend. It could definitely click with me. But as of right now, first day, super bad impression. It's like you're on a blind date, you show up and get kicked in the dick. It's like the worst impression possible. Like the only thing that would be worse is if like I turned it on and it erased my Xbox, or like the game didn't work and it was just broken or something like that, So I hate to be so negative, but I mean, that's the way it is right now. It's a negative experience because it's a bad experience right now. They could patch the game. They could make it better. This is just day one impressions. And technically the game's not even out yet until Friday, or tomorrow, Thursday, the day that you're seeing this is the day, like the official real release date of the game. So it's just disappointing. I wanted to get these thoughts out there. It's not just, I didn't want to just shit on this game. If you've been following along with me this year, you've seen me talk about this game quite a bit because I was very excited for it, but I had a very cautious excitement for it. And I think I was proven right today to have that cautious excitement. So that'll wrap up my initial thoughts. Stay tuned to the stream. Stay tuned to next week's episode of Perfect Reload Weekly, where I'll have more robust thoughts on the game. But leave a comment down below if you picked it up today. Let me know what your thoughts. I've seen a lot of casual video game players say that they absolutely love it. It's been more so the press, the media, people that play video games is more of a, maybe it's a bigger hobby in their life than a casual game player. They've been on kind of the negative side of things. So I have seen there's definitely a divide. And I think there are a lot of positives to this game that are just kind of hidden a little bit in a fog of not so greatness, if you will. But leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts. If you're loving this game, please tell me why. Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm totally missing something. And you can explain to me like, oh, hey, Steve, by the way, if you just do this, or you do this, or maybe that answer is in this part of the game, or just, hey, just play more of the game and you'll love it. Like, I want to know. So, let me know in the comments below. But that's going to be it for this. Like I said, we'll be playing this game on stream. I'll be talking about it in the future. But thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you soon.